Hey there, nomads of lore.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Jonathan. And together we are Mead and Mischief, your home away from no home.
And in this video, we are going to be giving you our reaction and our initial thoughts and feelings about the season finale of Amazon's Wheel of Time TV show. Hey there, guys and gals. Merry Christmas. We wanted to jump into this already weird video and give a little bit of PSA. And this, look, Jonathan's here. There he is. He was all checker faced, and let you know that what follows in this video is our opinion, mine and that guy in the machine, wherever he is, the ghost in the machine, shell, something, whatever. And we're feeling just a little bit pre-salty about this because it seems like we might be the only two people in the world right now that actually like this episode. And so, yeah, that's what do you think, voice in the machine? Talking to...
Well, I agree. I have the little bit that I've seen. People are really not liking this episode, and that is okay. That is okay. You don't have to like it at all. I understand reasons for sure. So I'm there with you, but I really did enjoy it. And there are a few of us that do, but it is, I don't know. If you did like this video, definitely comment below. If you didn't like it, comment below. Tell us why.
This is probably going to be the weirdest... Look, he can look at me. It's probably going to be the weirdest video we ever make, hopefully. And whatever else. And also sorry that this is getting out to you so late. You know, internet out in the boonies where Jonathan is. That's it. So this video is already going to be on the longer side, maybe. We'll see what we can cut out and make it look good and feel good and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, let us know what you think about this episode. You don't have to share our opinions. And hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you enjoyed something from this episode and all of that. We really genuinely did like some of this episode, and no, it's not because we're paid by the Amazon or the Bezos or any of that stuff. We just really like some of this episode, and we have some critiques. Actually, when we put out our take 2 reaction sometime probably middle of next week, I think one of my things that I have a small critique on in this video is probably going to turn into a bigger, like, I really don't like it thing. It's kind of what I'm thinking. Of course, Jonathan's opinion is going to stay the same. It always stays the same. But, you know, yeah.
I'm gonna try to rewatch episode 1 through 8 before.
Oh, that would be fun.
Before that thing too, so we'll see.
All right. So enjoy the video. You have anything else to say?
Nope. Hey there, nomads of lore.
All right, let's dive in.
Merry Christmas, nomads.
Absolutely. No, let's be inclusive here. Happy Christmas Kwanzaa to everyone. enjoy the Christmas and whatever the heck else you celebrate and all the things. Merry Christmas, guys and gals. Bye-bye. Man, what a finale. Right now, I loved it a ton and a bunch. There's so much that I loved about it. There's one or two things that I'm wondering about, and some small critiques for me. But overall, it was really, really great. Let's talk about spoiler level for this video. So we're going to kind of give our initial thoughts in a book spoiler-free segment at the beginning. And then after that, this video is actually going to be pretty much full book spoilers. For the most part, it won't go past the middle of the book. There is one thing that I want to talk about later that spoils all the way up to the end of the series. And I'll make sure and verbally warn you, and probably even give you a timestamp of when that's going to happen so you can check out. But there's a lot of spoilery things that we're going to be talking about in this video. And so if you're not a good chunk of the way through the series, book 7, 8, 9, whatever, then this, once we kind of get into it, it may be a no-fly zone for you.
To start with, that cold open. Cold open was phenomenal. It's a little glimpse into our first look at Lews Therin. You non-book readers know who, or don't know who that is yet. Maybe maybe a little bit confused by him, but you book readers, awesome look at Lews Therin, and the area that he was in, and then of course the strange look out into the city. I'm not sure if that was Tar Valon or it looked like Tar Valon's buildings for sure, and the crazy ships and all the architecture and all that kind of stuff was awesome. I love seeing that futuristic look at where we are, like way past our current technology, and then the apocalypse that follows. Super interesting to get to see that portion.
So how did I feel about the cold open? This cold open was really cool. I was excited about it. There's a lot of backstory stuff as a book reader and a companion reader and all of that that I was really excited about. Some neat stuff. The only complaint, honestly, I have about the cold open was that I want more of it. It felt like we got this really, really tiny glimpse into the Age of Legends, essentially, and all of that and technology and all that stuff. I didn't really expect to see that visually in the show, and all of those concepts. It was really cool. I thought it was really, really neat. I am hoping, and I kind of expect to at this point, that they give us some more glimpses into that past. I bet as we start to see more characters and more villains and stuff come in, we will see more of that. It was really, really cool.
There's a couple of things that I really liked. I'll start off with a couple of those. So, loved the Lan Nynaeve sequence where he tells her, "I'm going to hate the man that you end up with," and all the subsequent things he says to her. Beautiful scene between the two of them. I really thought it was really good. It wasn't over the top. It was really sweet, and it made sense. He was going to follow Moiraine and Moiraine. He was going to follow Moiraine, and he didn't know where he was going to end up. If he's going to end up dying or whatever, and so it made sense to have that there. I loved it. I thought it was cool. The portion with Nynaeve being able to track Moiraine was a little bit weird. Not sure where that falls as far as canon. And you guys tell me in the description. Obviously we've missed so much from the book. There's so many things, and on a first read through, I'm still not done with 13. But anyway, getting close to done with 13, and we'll get finished with 14 hopefully pretty soon. But anyway, I'm not sure how she was able to track her. How Nynaeve was saying she was able to track her. So that was a little weirdness right there. But anyway, that scene was really good.
We got Lan's line. We got him telling her that I will hate the man you choose because he's not me, and then the rest of the line. And I'm kind of, in the earlier books, I'm kind of, whatever about Lan and Nynaeve's relationship. Later, I love it. There's some things that happen later that are just glorious and wonderful. But early on, I'm kind of like, meh. But at this point, oh man, I got chills when he was giving that line, and mostly because I was excited about it. And I kind of, they've cut several lines and things and whatever, and so I was honestly at this point not even really expecting it. And so when we got it, it was exciting, and it was super fun, well delivered. And as far as him needing her help, so something I think they're doing a better job, honestly, than Robert Jordan does, especially in the early books, is having men and women, their relationship with each other, and having them help and support each other
instead of, because in the books, there's almost this kind of almost old school stereotypical view of men and women a little bit in their relationship, in that they're almost antagonistic toward each other a little bit, kind of. I understand some of the viewpoints that comes from and whatever else. And we get to see sometimes when they do support each other again, like see the earlier point about Egwene and Rand and all of that, and them coming to support each other in the end. And so it is a theme of the books for sure, and it's important. But the show is doing a really, really good job of showing them supporting and caring about each other. We see that very heavily in the Aes Sedai warder bond and all of that being a big deal. Yeah, that scene was awesome, especially because of the line and all of that. It was beautiful. And Nynaeve choosing to let him go and choosing to protect the people that she could protect. I thought that was really solid and really, really good. I liked it a lot. That scene was awesome, in my opinion.
And then, of course, going and following a little bit of what Rand and Moiraine are going through, there was an interesting look at the Blight for sure. I really liked the whole creeping idea, and there was always some sounds going on while they were walking through there. The sound engineering for the whole show has been amazing, but I really specifically liked that because it gave you the feeling like there was something going on in there, even though you didn't see any creatures, you didn't see any, up until the point where the Trollocs are running, by them or whatever, headed towards Faldara. There was really nothing around them, but it was so cool to hear just all these weird sounds and stuff going on.
A few non-book spoilery things. So there were some big events that happened, and I'm going to give my feelings without going into details about why or whatever else here at the beginning. So there's some big things, some of which are changes from the book, some of which are not, and some of which are, well, yeah, Wafo and Rafo, on some of that and all of those things. But so some big deals that happened. We got the boogeyman reveal his face, the Dark One. They called him in this episode of the show. Rand did, and that was awesome. I was thrilled. I was so excited that we got the dumb mask thing happening. We got rid of the whole boogeyman thing. I've been complaining about that since the very first time we saw it in the show. So I am so glad that we're done with that. It was awesome. I love that character. His reveal, well, his persona, it was just so much fun. I loved basically every time he was on the screen. It was just tons of fun. So let's see what else big happened that was crazy and whatever else. So Loyal may or may not be dead. That's a big deal, right? And I'm not really 100% sure that he is dead. We didn't kind of go back and for sure confirm that. And, I feel like that may be kind of, like we talk about in reading fantasy series, no body, no death, right? And so I'm not completely sure that he is dead. I think it would be okay, sad for sure, and I would not be real thrilled if they killed him off now. There's some cool stuff that happens with him in the books, but it would be okay with me. I wouldn't be like real upset about it. But I'm not real sure that that's what they did. We shall see. That's going to have to be a cliffhanger. Wait and find out. Is Loyal dead? And all of that. So we'll see. I'm curious what y'all think about that, and whether you think he's dead or not dead. Let us know down in the comments on that, and what you think about it either way. So, because that's a crazy thing that happened. Another big deal that happened was, of course, Rand's defeat of the Dark One, right? And all of that. And that was exciting. And that was, I loved it. I was not real sure how that was going to go down. I was a bit afraid they were going to have Moiraine have to save him and take care of that. And if they had done that, I would have not liked that at all. but the way they did it, it was awesome.
One change I didn't really like though was the killing or whatever it was of Brother Book, or Loyal as we like to call him. Um, that was something, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people in comments and things that I've read saying that, oh, it's his removal from the story won't be that there won't be that much that's affected by it, because his part is not as big in the books. But my thought for that is I don't like it because he's one of the few non-human characters that we actually have, and for that reason alone, I want him to stick around. So I don't know if they've actually killed him off. Obviously, we saw what we saw, and so I don't know if he's dead, if he's gonna come back somehow, if they heal him. Who knows? Nynaeve and Egwene come back after their whole battle sequence, and they find him. He's still dying or in the process of dying after being whatever, and maybe that's how he comes back. Who knows? But if they actually kill him off, I'm not thrilled with that. Obviously, whatever. Let them do whatever they're doing.
All right, so now I'm gonna jump into spoiler section. So I'm calling this full book spoilers, right? Again, it's most of what I have to say is not going to go past books 7, 8, 9 ish, whatever. Mid to late books. There is one thing I want to talk about in particular again, and I'll timestamp that when it comes up. That goes all the way to the very end of the series. And so I'll make sure and let you know when I come to that. So let's dive into that. For the rest of it, I'm going to kind of try to take it in sections and stages. We've kind of got our crew, they were back together, and now we're all split up again. Very, very split up. We've got one of the most odd things, and it was probably a combo of shots and whatever else, but we've got Matt in Shadar Logoth, right, as they're saying in the show, and looking all messed up again. But Padam Fain has the dagger now, so what's going on with that? I don't know. I hope that they're not turning Matt hardcore evil. I can't imagine that's going on. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I am honestly really excited to see what they're going to do with it. I don't think that they're going to totally change Matt's arc. I doubt that's going to happen. Like many people have pointed out, I really hope we get the Matt kicking Gawain and Galad's butts scene, because that's an awesome scene. We shall see whether we get that or not. So that's kind of a big question mark of what's going to happen there.
So there's two parts of this next sequence that I want to talk about, and that's the Nynaeve and Egwene and Amalisa portion of the fight. The actual fight, the fact that they are the ones doing the fighting, I really like. I like the fact that the men went out and they went to the wall, and they're the first stand. The women stayed behind in the city to be kind of the last stand. I really like that thought. I really like that those people had a bigger part to play in this battle, because as in the books, it's a little bit different. Rand does a lot more, and so I really like that Rand had his battle, and they had this other battle going on. Neither of them mattered very much, but it was interesting. It was really good. The part that I didn't like was really something that I'm not even sure if it's a thing at all. They've had her doing all this Wilder channeling, all this basically savior type channeling, because of whether she's in fear or angry or whatever, trying to protect the ones around her. But we know that in book two or three, we get the idea that she has a block. And so they're kind of playing into that with this Wilder channeling thing and showing that she doesn't always have control. However, when Amelise wants to gather them up and have everyone channel with her or link with her. There's the word, link with her. Nynaeve is able to do it, and I thought that was interesting because I'm not sure that she would just have no problem doing that. I know the channeling is not actually being done by her, but the linking portion is, and anyway, that is not that big of a problem. I could read around that. But what I would have liked to see instead of the death, the death of Amelisa and the death of Nynaeve, where she kind of dies and then whatever, Egwene, heals her or whatever and brings her back, kind of thing. Instead of that, what I would rather have seen is them try to link and Nynaeve be unable to, and kind of standing over to the side, again, not able to do. And now this would have been another Wilder channeling, and maybe it would have been too far, but this might have given them the idea, oh, she can't always channel. She's got a problem, a block, and that would have helped the non-book readers, in my opinion. It would have been another Wilder channeling, and maybe it would have been too much. We probably would have been complaining about that side of it, but at the same time, it wouldn't have just been drama for drama's sake. If you understand what I'm saying, I just didn't really like the death and then the death and then the resurrection almost. I think it would have been more interesting had all of those people, linked, but then their power together maybe not big enough, or maybe they're still going to get overrun after they've done lots of whatever, and then Nynaeve does something because she's again in a state of fear and whatever, and protects them or heals them or does something. So anyway, small nitpick, one of my problems of the episode.
So absolutely worth talking about in this episode is we had 4 deaths / fake out deaths / are they dead in this episode. Well, actually 5, 6 if you count Agilmar and Lady Amelisa, right? Which that we haven't known them long enough for me to be all that concerned about it. Well, actually one of the other ones I'm more concerned about. I don't know what that says, but it says that I'm excited about Uno. And so here we go. So here's the death / fake out deaths. I already mentioned Agilmar and Lady Amelisa. Didn't expect them to survive, honestly. I didn't expect... Well, I didn't know about Lady Amelisa. I didn't know that was going to happen. I did like that we got a tease in that with her death in particular of the power being addictive. And that element of the power, right? Because that's a thing. And so I liked that. And we also got a view of being burned out. So that was really good. And so we got some more world building kind of shoved in there with a character death that we weren't too worried about. A lot of us, I assume most of us, and all of that. So there was that. So Uno looked like he may have died. I don't think they killed Uno. I think he was stabbed in his shoulder. I think he's alive. I think he's going to add to his scar collection, which is fine. The big one, of course, is Loyal, which I already talked about. And now that we're in spoiler section, so I've seen some commenters on our video and then in other places talk about, they actually guessed, some people guessed that Loyal might die in this episode. And their justification for it was that he was kind of a stand-in for the concept of the Green Man dying. And I think that makes sense. I don't love it because I was really, if Loyal is dead, I don't love it because I was excited about seeing some of the stuff later. We get Elder Hammond and him running down the hall, shouting Trollocs and fighting, and him fighting with Perrin, and not fighting with Perrin, but fighting alongside Perrin, right? And some of those things, and then his marriage stuff. I was hoping we would keep some of that. In hindsight, retrospect, whatever else, I wonder whether they would have kept all of that anyway, honestly. So yeah, there's all of that. I could be okay with them killing off Loyal. I mean, Robert Jordan essentially kills him off for multiple books in a row, and doesn't do anything. Kind of forgets he exists for a long time. Hey, I'd love Loyal in the books. I really do. I think he's a great character. But I could see them cutting his character and being okay with that. Again, I hope that that's not what happened, and I'm not necessarily convinced that that is, in fact, what has happened. But I could be fine with it. I could be okay with that one. The last death / fake out death, whatever, that I want to talk about is Nynaeve. And I've already said pretty much how I feel about it. That I think it worked and it was fine. Maybe it was a little bit of drama for drama's sake, maybe, but it was fine. But I want to kind of continue on with that and kind of talk about the whole girl power at Tarwin's Gap. Now, I pre-saw, some people already complaining before the episode happened that they're not going to have Rand come and channel and save everybody, and they're just and Lady Amelisa is going to teach them to link and bleh, and all excuse me, all of that, and that's what happened, right? And that's exactly what happened. And so I know that there's going to be some people that have a problem with that. I do not. Other than some of the bits that kind of felt dramatic for the sake of being dramatic. Now, here's the bits that I do like and kind of why I like them. One reason that I liked it was kind of tied back to the scene that I talked about earlier with Lan and Nynaeve. And what I talked about, specifically what I talked about, the balance idea of this, and that's one thing that Rafe is leaning really heavily into is the more ensemble nature of the story, right? That we get in later books, especially where everybody plays a part and everybody is important. Well, not everybody, right? But Oliver, who cares, right? Gawain, throw him in a ditch. But these different people have a role to play, and Rand had his role to play, and these women had their role to play, and the men before them that laid down their life defending and stopping as many Trollocs as they could also had a part to play, right? And so they were all doing a part of this battle, and I liked that separation instead of Rand having to come and save them from this dire situation. And so I really like that, and I thought it worked. Now, I would not have liked it if I was really afraid like I said earlier, that I was really afraid that they were going to make Moiraine have to save Rand and help him. I really thought that's where they were going for a little while at first. But then when Rand does turn and have his triumphant moment and he makes that awesome choice, I was 100% on board with it. And because he did get his awesome moment of choosing to be the Dragon Reborn, right? And making that decision. And it was awesome. I loved it. And all of that. Now, the use of the Sangreal, I guess that was fine as a plot device for explaining how he had enough power to do that, to defeat the Dark One, who we assume was the Shamael and whatever else and all that. But yeah, so that was really cool. And the ladies being able to do their thing was also really cool. So that really, really worked for me really well.
So I really did enjoy the Pot on Fane part where he was talking to Perrin, and just kind of his explanation of the backstory of he's been basically following them for a really long time, and I enjoyed that idea. The whole 5 of them being Ta'Veren, that was a little different. Might have had a little. We talked about Egwene being Ta'Veren in a video. Maybe we stick that up in the iCard, but it's different and not necessarily a bad thing. I kind of like the change.
So I already talked about really, really loving everything with now in the spoiler section. Is Shamael, right? We assume, right? We don't know that for sure, actually. It could have been any of the Forsaken. It could have been whoever. I think it's, well, and actually, it may have. I didn't look at the X-ray to see if it said. It probably does. Well, actually, I'm really curious. When I go back and rewatch and look at some stuff, I'm definitely going to be checking out whether they list his character name as Ishamael or the Dark One or what. That's interesting. I don't know. But I loved all of the stuff with him. I loved his costuming. I thought that was really awesome. It was more modern but futuristic, but like past and future all together. It was a lot. Yeah, it reminded me a ton of the dream sequences that we get in the Eye of the World. Of course, it wasn't a fireplace, whatever, right? But it reminded me a lot of those. His dress and everything else. It fit what I pictured of those, and I loved it. It was so cool. I was so tired of the stupid boogeyman mask thing. I know I already said that, probably, unless I cut that part of this video. Who knows? I'm kind of talking about a lot of things, and after I get Jonathan's video, who knows what I'm going to keep and cut and whatever else. So hopefully this video turns out really good. We shall see. We've never done one quite like this, but necessity calls, right?
Overall, really like the episode. Still going. So the last, probably biggest portion of this episode is Rand's portion, and so I loved all of this. I loved the dream sequence when he falls asleep, and then they kill Moraine. The sequence that we saw in the preview that we're like, what? She got stabbed? What's going on? Anyway, I loved the unmasking of Ishamael, and his whole portion, the humanization of him finally. And so won't go into too much detail and won't give away spoilers, but I loved him being humanized, and I loved the giving Rand kind of a choice of either basically resisting the dark side, resisting the dark one, or going with him and creating a world where he gets to be with Egwene. I love that, and that I thought for a little while that Moraine was going to do something weird. She had the knife up to his throat. And so I thought that something was going to go on with that, but I thought it was beautifully done. I love the way he stood up to him, the way they finished that, the visualization of that. The actor was really good. There was enough subtlety that he wasn't overarchingly evil, so that you kind of were like, oh well, duh, he's an evil guy. But he was just evil enough, but still kind of almost ambiguous as to who he was or what he was wanting, especially at first. I mean, even though you saw him the mask come off from being kind of a scary, glowing-eyed guy. But anyway, so I really, really overall loved all of the Rand stuff. I loved the, even though it's different from the books, but Moraine getting stilled or or semi, like shielded, but maybe tied off shield that she doesn't understand yet. Not sure what's going on there. It could be a bunch of different things, but it appears that she's been stilled, and I think that's an interesting twist. There's other people who end up being stilled down the road in the books. And so this happening to her so that she's able to stay around and be more of a mentor until that, changes or whatever. We'll see. I really think it's a great choice, at least from this point. Obviously could be terrible down the road, but as with anything, we got to give it a chance until we see it, right? So, of course, then we have Rand go off and Lan, because he's like, I'm done, whatever. And then Lan come up and ask her if she's okay. And I loved the whole interaction with Rand telling her that you need to tell them that I'm dead. And she's like, I can't lie. and he's like, you better figure out a way because you owe me at least that much. And then she tells Lan that he's gone, basically. One other small critique I have is is the water bond and how that would be affected. Now, obviously, we're not 100% sure what's happened to Moraine, and we'll probably see it later. And so maybe this is a gripe that doesn't matter. But if she was actually stilled, I think the water bond would have broke as if, and maybe I'm wrong, but the water bond might have broke as if she had died, and which would have sent him off into, the rage and all that kind of stuff. So I'm interested to see what actually happened to her before we critique that too hard.
I think the last thing that I want to talk about in this episode is something where I am now going to shift to full book spoilers all the way to the very, very end. I'll put a timestamp on the screen for when I'm done with this conversation, done with this full spoilers. Here we go. I'm going to jump into. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see what everybody's feelings are about the sort of confrontation with the Dark One, Ishamael, right? Because it was different than the book, right? We didn't have what Jonathan and I have often called the light umbilical cord and the darkness creeping in and all that stuff like the book. We didn't have that. But, when we retrospectively go back and look at that scene, really, what was going on there? Probably was Ishamael, the Dark One through Ishamael, whatever else, was tempting Rand to the dark side, right? Trying to corrupt him. That's exactly what was happening. We didn't get this weird sort of light, dark show thing. And the thing I want to talk about that's book spoilers that I thought was really interesting is it felt a lot like, not quite, right? There's a lot more to it, but it reminded me a ton of flicker, right? It reminded me a ton of Rand's real deal confrontation with the Dark One. And I mean, of course, that had more in it and more things going on, but him seeing visions of a life and seeing what things could be, it reminded me a ton of that. And I dig it. I like it a lot. And I think that really works. It's not perfect, but I thought it was really, really good. It got out forward. It presented those concepts of him having to struggle with joining the Dark One or defeating the Dark One and all of the things that are wrapped up in that, right? And so I'll quit talking about the very end so I can get out of regular book spoilers. So I really, really liked the way that was done and Rand's confrontation, him having to make those conscious choices and be able to look and being able to figure out that he's in a dream, and then even Ishii revealing himself, right? And to him and freezing the space. I don't know what was going on there. What do y'all think is going on there? Was this a dream shard sort of a thing? Was this Teleonriad? Was this something else? What was going on there, And yeah, it was, yeah. What was even happening? Was it something weird with the Eye of the World? I don't know. Yeah, it was cool though. And I loved it.
And then we come to the final sequence with the Seanchan pulling up in their boats. And, I thought it was awesome. We thought that we were going to see that because of the mention of the ships coming up and earlier in the season. So we did, and seeing the Domani channeling, super cool. I loved the just everything being in its place, kind of very orderly as far as they're concerned. And I liked the collars, the way they looked, everything. It was a little bit weird. I need to go back and look at the very specifics about them just to see how they'll work. But anyway, and then the channeling of creating the wave, I thought that was really cool. I'm interested to see what they do with them for sure. But it just like in book one, we see this much of the world, and then as we get farther along in the books, it kind of expands, and that's exactly what this introduction did for the show. It's like, oh, it's not just these 10 different bad guys we've introduced. There's another one, and maybe we'll see another one, and all that. So I really liked that. And so overall, I enjoyed the episode. There were a few critiques, like I mentioned, but the closing scenes were really good.
Oh yeah, one last thing was the cold closing. I don't know. What do you call that? I don't epilogue of the thing, I guess. I don't know. The teaser of the Seanchan at the end. That was awesome. I loved it. I am really excited about the Suldam in particular. I love what they're doing with the I don't know whether it was face paint or tattoos or what, but that kind of visual differentiation for the audience sake, I thought that was super cool. The Damani were interesting looking. I don't know about the whole mouth guard thing. I think it's fine though. It kind of fits the humiliation factor of the Damani, that they are being controlled, right? And all of that. So I think it could totally work. Yeah, I loved the sort of ceremonial flashiness of them. There's a super cool look. There's some of it that's kind of a little bit janky-ish, CG-ish, a little cheap-ish, sorta. Kinda. And so I'm hoping when we see more of them, I'm assuming even in season 2, then it's a little bit more integrated, and I think it will be. I think a lot from those shots was CG, and I think that's probably part of it. And so as they're actually on land and we get to see the costumes more up close, I think it's probably going to look great. I think the costumes in the show are tremendous and phenomenal, and I've loved them so far, and they're really, really great. So that is our initial thoughts reaction to the season finale, episode 8 of Amazon's Wheel of Time. I loved it. Thought it was super, super awesome. What did you guys think? What parts did you like? What parts did you not like? What are you excited about in season 2? We have our live full book spoiler discussion coming on Saturday. Instead of being at 11-ish a.m., it's going to be in the afternoon, probably 3 or 4 p.m. Central, because of Christmas and all of that. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be me and my daughter will be here. Hopefully Jonathan can join us in some way, shape, or form. At the very least, hopefully in the comment section and all of that. That's going to be really exciting. And of course, we have our New Year's Day live stream at 11:30 a.m. Central, where we're going to go and look at the entirety of season 1, and even more exciting, in my opinion, looking at predictions and thoughts about season 2. So we hope to see you in those places. Y'all have a great day, evening, morning, night, all of the things. Bye-bye.